Please welcome back to the stage founder and chairman of Emerge Americas, Manny Medina.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is having an amazing day. Hope you're having fun so far. I know I am a little tired. Only about 3.5 hours before my first drink, so I'll make it. Yeah, thank you very much. This next panel is going to be an amazing panel. Basically, you have three folks which will be talking to you about the future impact of collective public partnerships. And basically, first and foremost, I introduced her this morning already. A lot of you already know her, but our leader, the person that has made this entire tech movement her passion, and who is relentless about helping the entire ecosystem grow and thrive with a great partnership with Miami-Dade County, our fearless mayor, Daniella Levine Cava. Daniella? Welcome back, Mayor. Please, this right there. Any one of those two, Jaret will be here. So, we basically are very fortunate to have this ecosystem anchored by great companies, to have all the future funders, the futures wannabe great entrepreneurs. We have one of those great entrepreneurs here today. The story of Fred Voccola and Kaseya is actually short of amazing. It's a one company you've never heard of until very soon, because pretty soon it's the Kaseya Arena already, and every time you see a Heat game, every time you go to a concert, you're going to be going to the Kaseya Arena. And basically, he'll tell you, but Kaseya today, the mayor is responsible for 9,000 employees. Pretty soon Kaseya is going to pass him, because basically I think they're hiring 3,400 people just this year alone. We're very proud that they call Miami their headquarters. One of the fastest growing tech companies in the world, headquartered right here in Miami, and I'm very proud to have become good friends with their CEO, who's become an integral part of our community. So I would like to call out here Fred Voccola, the CEO of Kaseya. Next, another, as you heard me say this morning, one of the founding partners, and besides a great friend of Emerge, was Greenberg, Traurig, right? And I said that was one of the first calls that I made, and the first meeting of Emerge happened at their conference room on the 44th floor. He happens also to be somebody who I consider more like family. I kiddingly call him my adopted son. Manny Jr. has a brother. He's a little taller than him, but besides that, he's also one of the greatest corporate lawyers in America. He's a co-managing shareholder of Greenberg Traurig. I know he's one of the greatest corporate lawyers because he's been my corporate lawyer now for I don't know how many years. So it is with deep pride to bring the moderator of this panel, my good friend Jaret Davis.
Yay!
All yours, Jeff.
All right.
Good afternoon. Come on, guys. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We debated dancing out here, but we decided that probably wasn't the best thing to do. How's everyone doing? All right, good. A little bit of a distance between the two of us here, but I guess we'll work it out.
Reminiscent of the COVID era.
Hey, that's exactly right, reminiscent of the COVID era. Well, good afternoon. We hope you've all enjoyed the phenomenal lineup of speakers so far today. There's a lot more to come, but we have two particular luminaries here today. Of course, we have Daniella Levine Cava, Mayor of Miami-Dade County. And we have Fred Voccola, CEO of Kaseya. Two absolute powerful leaders that have been collaborating greatly, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Mayor Cava truly understands how important it is for government to work hand in hand with the private sector to boost not only the county's tech ecosystem, but also the economy of the entire county. Providing more resources for entrepreneurs and increasing opportunities for local talent have been priorities of her administration. Under her guidance, the county has created the Miami-Dade Innovation Authority, which has been funded by the Knight Foundation, Citadel CEO Ken Griffin, to create a vehicle to support startups and more public-private partnerships. Just last month, she added a new Chief Economic Development Innovation Officer to her economic development team. Mayor, as always, thank you for your leadership.
Wonderful to be with you,
And
Jaret.
speaking of leaders, we have Fred, who is no stranger to fast growth and innovation himself. As CEO of Kaseya, the leading provider of IT and security management solutions, he's guided the company's growth from approximately $50 million of annual recurring revenue to approximately $2 billion of annual recurring revenue, with a current valuation in the $20 billion range. Kaseya, which moved its HQ to Miami in 2018, is now destined to be a household name. In rapid succession, the company announced in late February that it's committed to expand its workforce here, adding 3,400, and let me say that again, 3,400 new high-paying jobs. You better applaud for that. And $16 million in capital investment over the next 3 years. And then just 2 weeks ago, as I think everyone in this room knows, Kaseya acquired the naming rights to the Miami-Dade Center, and that's the last time we'll call it that, home of the Miami Heat. For the next 17 years at least, it will be known as the Kaseya Center. The naming rights deal extends Kaseya's brand well beyond the tech realm to the world of sports and entertainment. Now, the impetus for this panel is this recent collaboration between these two powerful forces over here. The 3,400 jobs Kaseya is creating will have an average salary of $107,000, an unprecedented investment in the tech community in Miami-Dade County. In connection with this commitment, Miami-Dade County awarded $4.56 million in performance-based economic incentives, the single largest incentive package in Miami-Dade County history, and the largest tech job creation project that county has supported. $4.25 million of those funds will come from the new Relocation and Expansion Incentives Program, which provides financial incentives to growing and new market ventures in Miami-Dade County. Kaseya was actually the first company to apply under this new program,
That's right.
which was a creature of Mayor Levine Cava's leadership, working with the Miami-Dade Beacon Council, who has expertise in structuring incentive packages. So during this session, we're going to talk a little bit about your leadership, your philosophy on public-private partnerships, and how we can lever the incredible energy that you two have generated for our community and our ecosystem. So we're going to start with you, Madam Mayor. We're now recognized as a hub for innovation. It took us 2 decades to get here, in large part thanks to the efforts of everyone in this room. Give yourselves a round of applause, by the way. If you recall the genesis of Emerge over 10 years ago, many of you in this room were a part of that story, and of course the mayor's leadership was second to none. So now that we're here, talk a little bit about your philosophy behind government's role. Government, Miami-Dade County was there as one of the founders, but what is your philosophy on government's role in building the workforce of the future?
Well, Jaret, thank you so much, and thank you for your role in building out this ecosystem, because you have been involved from the beginning. I think maybe you kind of invented it back when, along with Manny Medina, of course. So I believe that government can be a force for innovation. We don't have to wait on the sidelines. We don't have to wait for people to bring innovation to us. We can drive innovation. And so my new team on economic development and innovation has put together the FutureReady plan. Please visit us at 501 booth. And the FutureReady plan has 3 pillars. We are driving the workforce here to the future jobs, those good Kaseya jobs. We want our local folks to compete for those jobs. We like the newcomers, come on down, but we also want to be sure that there's a pipeline for those great jobs right here. We also are working with our small business ecosystem, because no matter what makes us unique is our special flavor, our special small business entrepreneurial culture, and we want to be sure that those big newcomers are also procuring from our local businesses. So we have a pillar on local. And then innovation, driving innovation, fintech, health tech, climate tech. And we launched Miami-Dade Innovation Authority with the $9 million in seed capital to invite startups to share with us their ideas how we solve local challenges. Maybe it's traffic, maybe it's housing affordability, flooding, just naming a few things that might be top of mind. And we know that there are solutions out there, and we want to give you, through this nonprofit, grants to test, pilot, and then show that this is a viable solution so we can procure at scale. So I believe that it's a partnership, business, government, and civil society working together to build a really strong economic future. And that's how we're going to go forward.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to stay with the mayor for one more second. We dealt with the public side of the equation. What about the private sector? What's the role they play in terms of collaboration with the government? Obviously, Fred, your take on this is going to be critical, but first I want to hear from the mayor in terms of what role will the private sector play?
Well,
in all
let
this?
me underscore the deal with Kaseya. That is not just about putting money in government coffers, but for a particular purpose, which is to address violence reduction. So we have the Peace and Prosperity Plan, which is funded through the naming rights deal. Now that's, I think, unprecedented. I've not heard about that anyplace else in the country. So every dollar that Kaseya is spending on getting their beautiful name up there in lights, which is, oh, so gorgeous, so exciting, it's also building peace and prosperity, and we have put that money to good use. We've reduced crime. We're one of the safest metros in the country. We have provided good jobs for young people, living wage jobs, apprenticeships, internships, so they can have a pathway. And we're talking about kids who maybe were going in that wrong direction. So we've brought them back in through the program. And we are also attacking crime directly with more involvement with small businesses. So this is just an example of a great public-private partnership. But truthfully, we're saying to the business community, share with us your innovative ideas. We need you to solve these problems. Government cannot solve these problems on our own. It has to be a partnership, whether it's housing, flooding, etc. We need to do it together.
Perfect. Now, Fred, before we get into your philosophy in terms of how you can work with government, the burning question I suspect everyone has here, now that they've seen your name, seen Kaseya's name in lights, is what's the Kaseya story? You know, and not just to inform them of Kaseya, but also to inspire. You basically are what probably 3/4 of this room aspire to be eventually. So can you give us a little bit about the Kaseya story, the history, how it got to where it is?
Sure. So I doubt many people here aspire to be like me or like Kaseya. I think they aspire to be much better than myself and Kaseya, that's for sure. But so Kaseya has its roots back about 20 years ago. A couple of guys started the company, probably like many people here, many of us have done in our lives, and kind of found lightning in a bottle. I'd say 50% luck and 50% skill, hard work, and dedication. The luck came from around 2002, 2003, when the company was started. There were some titanic shifts happening in how computing was done. Things like Java, things like .NET, things like internet applications. Many people here are probably laughing at those terms, but those were the new things that were hitting the world back then. And Kaseya developed a technology, the first technology of Kaseya, that really took advantage of that. And you know, the company was bootstrapped, took no institutional money, got up to around $45 million in revenue, and then sold the business to a private equity firm. And then we've taken it from that point and grown it to around $2 billion today. And I think when I think about some of the keys in Kaseya's journey and how it relates to a lot of folks here, it was a lot of people telling Kaseya what Kaseya could not do and having 100 reasons to why Kaseya couldn't do it. And Kaseya, before my time and in the last 8 years since I've been lucky enough to be here, it's always been, we listen to what we can't do and we find ways of understanding our customer's problem and finding ways to deliver value for our customer. Sure. And for everyone here who's an entrepreneur or wants to be an entrepreneur or works in the entrepreneurial area, never lose sight that we all exist to solve a customer's problem, whatever that problem may be. And solving that problem is the number one thing that allows an organization to even have a chance to be successful.
And that goes triple for law firms. Why Miami? I mean, as a point of hometown pride, we're thrilled you're here. You've already become a civic juggernaut. You may not realize this, but basically they lease half of downtown Miami at this point. And so you are a true staple of our community. What attracted you to Miami?
So I did my first year of university down here. I grew up in New Jersey, and I came down here and fell in love with the city. So I always said, if I got lucky enough in life and was able to, have any kind of influence, I'd love to build a business in Miami. And it's Miami. I mean, it was for a kid who grew up in New Jersey without a whole lot of things. It was just amazing to come down here in the early 90s and experience a totally different culture. Remember, this is before the internet and before any social media. So I fell in love with the city. From a professional perspective, why are we scaling in Miami? A couple of reasons. The state and local governments, I'm not just saying it because the mayor's sitting right next to me, by the way, it is probably the single best place in the United States, Canada, and Western Europe, and Eastern Europe to do business. Hands down. We have offices all over the world, hands down. And I think, with the local government here it's a pragmatic government. And whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, from what Madam Mayor just said, I can't tell what political party she's with. She's representing the constituency and doing what's best for everyone. And that's super, especially today, that's super important. And it's rare. I'm fortunate or disfortunate, depending how you look at it, but I speak with a lot of local governments around the country and around the world. Nothing compares to the pragmatic nature. Let's solve a problem. Let's figure out how to solve problems, and instead of figuring out how to, focus on other things. So it's outstanding. Miami has a phenomenal workforce. We knew we were going to scale, and it's filled with a lot of immigrants, first and second generation Americans, and that is awesome. The work ethic, the desire to improve one's life, improve the life for a family. The Miami culture is an outstanding culture for a company that believes in providing opportunities for people to do great things. And it's second to none. The university system's great. FIU's wonderful. I went to the U, so obviously, the U's great as well, but FIU has been just fantastic for us. And for a big city, and we are a big city, we can attract from people in a much larger area. We can grab people from all over the county, even up in Broward. We don't like Broward as much as we like Miami-Dade, but we can grab even from up in Broward. The infrastructure is great. The Bright Line was a huge piece of it. Just all around, it's a great place. When we look to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in a community, there's no question, no doubt about it.
Perfect. So Fred touched on a lot of great parts of an ecosystem, the education facilities, etc. Mayor Cava, what's the county's role in all that? What's the county's role in building a strong workforce? It could be as a supporter, it could be a primary driver. What's your vision in terms of what the county can do to build a strong workforce?
Well, why do we need business? We need business for jobs. We need business to solve problems. By the way, I'm problem solver in chief in so many ways. And I need the business community to be part of solving those problems, not just through new startups, but also being at the table, being a partner. So look, I'm a reformed social worker, if you will. I started in social work and public interest law, and I got religion. I realized that without the business community, there wouldn't be the jobs that we need to fuel the economy and to build the middle class. So my path brought me to this role so that I could be sure that we had the workers ready, willing, and able, and the jobs available for them for the rising tide to lift all boats. So I'm all about it. We have to start young. We start with our elementary school. We've got more partnerships with our public school system. Miami-Dade College, which is producing thousands and thousands, and we're partnering with scholarships and other programs to make sure that the tech pipeline leads to these great jobs. So we're all in. And I do want to say, yes, I'm agnostic. I'm in a nonpartisan seat, which is great, and it's all about being a good partner. So anything that we can do to make sure that our businesses thrive and that they have the workers they need, that's what drives our economy forward.
And Fred, I know Kaseya is not exactly a passive partner when it comes to dealing with the educational facilities. You've taken a leadership role to say, look, not only are we charging you with training our leaders and our workers of the future, we're going to work with your faculty, work with the curriculum to basically guide you so that what you're teaching them can be relevant day one when they graduate. Can you talk a little bit about that, how Kaseya is collaborating with the various education institutions to sort of guide what's being trained there?
Sure. Every organization needs. So we're a software company, right? So we're an intellectual property organization. We don't have ships, we don't have factories, we don't have big buildings. We have people. So we are, as many people here are the companies that you're building, whether it's 1 or 2 people in your company or 1 or 2,000. And making sure that we have the right people with the right skills coming into us with the right foundations, probably the right way of stating it. It's our needs are a little bit different than other companies' needs. Every company is unique, but you have to have a foundation. Miami-Dade, FIU, the curriculums at those organizations and the administrations at those organizations are incredibly willing to sit down and say, how can we be helpful? What do we need to do to teach our students? I've talked to 100 universities in the US and probably 24 in Europe. They don't do that. Academics don't do that. I don't mean that to be disrespectful to academics, but they don't do that. The universities here do. Miami-Dade's been fantastic. And they allow us to work with them to design a curriculum so that the kids or the young people coming out have skills that people like Kaseya want to hire. And it's second to none. I mean, and because of that, Kaseya invests millions of dollars. We do guest lecturing, we run courses, we do internship programs in the hundreds for people. We comply with the credit requirements for universities to give kids credit and pay them for internships. It works really well. We have great relationships with so many professors. So, the kid that might need some guidance or some help that doesn't get it in the structured way. I had a conversation the other day with a kid from one of the universities who's fallen into some trouble. One of the professors asked me to have a conversation with him, talk about life. I mean, that's meaningful stuff. You don't see that in most places around the world. And we have that here in Miami, and it's super cool.
I would just like to add that we have a really great collaboration among the universities. We have an Academic Leaders Council. We work with the Beacon Council on shared goals and metrics. We are really collaborating across the public, private, and academic sectors to make sure that we bring value.
Now, I'd love to hear from both of you on a different topic, which is replicating and evangelizing what you've accomplished. And what I mean by that, it benefits both of you. I'm going to leverage rational self-interest here. Kaseya obviously is global, and Mayor Levine, Cava, if we have our way, you're going to be doing leadership beyond Miami-Dade County, well beyond. So how about a round of applause for that? Thank you.
All right.
So it's in both your interests to at least think about this next question. How do we carry what you guys have accomplished, both across industries, so beyond tech, whether it be healthcare or any of the other industries in Miami-Dade County, but then beyond Miami-Dade County? We have our sister counties out there, the rest of the state of Florida, Southeast United States and beyond. What we've talked about, and I truly believe this, I agree 2,000% with Fred. I think the mayor agrees with it, but she can't say it out loud, that Miami-Dade County is very unique in terms of how well we work with business. How do we take that and scale it? How do we scale it across industries, so beyond tech, and how do we scale it beyond Miami-Dade County so that it's benefiting so